we're ready for the hot seat. I love the hot seats because we get to talk with vendors and technicians and business owners, especially that are in the field. They're doing the work and they're trying to be more efficient. And then Ben, what is your role at simPRO, Ben? What's your exact title?
I am, let me show you. I am the North American Sales Director.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like to say that we have customers in the US, or I cover customers in the US and Canada, and then we have one Mexican company with us, and we're looking to expand more and more in there.
Yeah. Yep. So one thing that I really noticed was the amount of resources you guys have. That's a big deal for me, because when you look at like software companies that they're developing quickly, they're doing like an agile kind of methodology with getting stuff out quickly to their customers. You guys have a lot of resources. You have a lot of employees. You guys have a lot of experience in the industry and adjacent industries as well. So yeah, so Ben, kick it off, man. Like I'm giving it over to you. So
I'm glad to have this be a conversation. Yeah. I can give presentations. I've done them for plus years all day, but I really do want to have this be a conversation between you and I, and then whoever's in the field as well who wants to ask me any questions.
Yep.
But let me give you a little brief history of simPRO. We have been around since 2002, so we're in a really unique position that we were started by an electrician. Because he needed to be able to keep track of where his guys were and what was going on. And so he found a guy directly out of university in Australia to help him grow his business, or to help just do a dispatch to start off with. And then he started investing more and more into it, to the point where all of a sudden the software program was overtaking what he was doing in his electrical side. And so he started what is simPRO now. So 19 years in the business. And what's interesting, we went from on-prem, so where you had to have a server on premises, and then we've gone full cloud over the years. And we probably have 200 plus people that are doing the programming for us at all points in time. And so we have 7,000 plus businesses who are using us. We've got 400 plus employees that work for us. We're in offices in 5 countries, and we're just short of 250,000. I like to say 250,000 instead of 200,000 plus users that are using us every day. And we're a company that's growing, and we're growing kind of exponentially. Again, we started in Australia, moved to New Zealand, been in UK for a number of years, and then we're really doubling down in the US. To give you a brief history of me, and this isn't just to talk about me, but I do have the hot seat, so I can talk about me as much as I want. I started actually working for Trane HVAC 20 plus years ago. In that time, I did everything from like customer service, logistics, shipping stuff around the world. I once shipped a container to Colombia, which was hijacked by pirates on the ocean. And so that was an interesting job, like interesting jobs throughout my career. But then I got out into the sales side of things and started really working with contractors. So I've seen what they're doing. I see what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. Some of these people are some of my closest friends, and I know how hard it is to run a business. But in that time, I went from being a salesperson to being, I ran about a $350 million territory in the South, a district. And in that time, I started seeing companies that were growing. I saw people that were struggling. I saw people who had their kind of lives that were ruined because they were just dealing with all the hassles of employees and collecting payments and all the pain. And then I started seeing some contractors who were starting to use software and use it very successfully. And it started probably 10 years ago when I started seeing people use it. But I didn't really see that they were getting that much out of it, short of accounting, for a long time. And then I started seeing people really, really grow and use some different software. So we started doing a really in-depth analysis of all the softwares that were out there. And a couple came bubbling to the top. And I decided that I wanted to be a part of that business. I wanted to be a part of the software that was really helping contractors grow their business. And when I say grow their business, again, I look at it in 2 different ways, or actually 3 different ways. One, they can grow the number of amount of business that they're doing. 2, they can grow in profitability. And 3, they can grow in scale and recognition, all those other things. But I think the most important things are being sure that you take care of your employees and then being able to bring profits to the bottom line. So I'm really, really passionate about helping contractors grow. And so I'd worked for a different company. I won't say their name out loud, but a different company that doesn't focus in the low voltage space. But I started seeing there's this huge opportunity in the commercial space. Contractors, man, the thing I see most of all is contractors, particularly smart people that are particularly like integrators, is that they're using Excel spreadsheets. They've created access databases. They start doing all this crazy programming, and it's tough. It's tough to grow. You can do it if it's just you and one or two other people. But if you want to grow your business and be able to actually compete with the big boys and be able to make profits and be able to actually live a lifestyle, you need to have a system that can help you do that. And so that's why I'm at simPRO. So I'm passionate about what we do, and we have some fundamentals that we really believe in terms of face-to-face interaction, both in terms of the sales. So we want to get in front of you whenever we're doing our consultation, and then also whenever we're doing implementation as well, and getting actual implementation specialists to focus on getting you to integrate this into your business and be a part of your business. So a general term that we use, and I'm starting to get into sales mode, so I apologize, but a general term that we use is end-to-end business software. So from the time a lead comes in to the point when you're doing the service or install, running a project, all the way to the point you do the invoicing within our system, and then it pushes over to accounting software. And we have 3 softwares that we integrate with. One, it's probably the most prevalent one, which is QuickBooks. And we work with both QuickBooks digital desktop and then online. So that probably is 80% plus of the contractors that we're working with are using that. And then we have a relationship with Xero, which is a New Zealand company. I really like them. It's like a different flavor of accounting than what people are used to when people are just used to dealing with QuickBooks, but it's like really, really easy to do business with them. And I'm seeing a lot of newer companies that move to them because the cost is pretty reasonable, and then the interface is really good. So I like that. And then as of last Monday, we just integrated with Oracle NetSuite. So that's an exciting one that we've added to it. So we have, so we go from companies that are smaller to really, really big companies as well. You have any questions? I feel like I'm talking too much. This is the hot seat, so I start talking all the time. Like,
yeah, no questions yet. I'm monitoring stuff, and I don't have any, so just keep rolling.
Sweet. So this is what we really focus on, is streamlining your business. So again, we talk about accurate estimates. We have estimating software that works within our system very well, where you can take catalogs from your suppliers, update them regularly. You can set takeoffs. You can have pre-builds. You have a whole system to make sure that you set up your quotes right. So what I've seen is a lot of contractors, they do quotes off of back of napkin math, and they don't know if they're making money or not until it's too late, right? And sometimes that's when the cash flow stops flowing. And then you realize after you get this really big job that you're not quite as successful as you want. Next is simple scheduling. So we can handle scheduling that is, short term, as short as 15 minutes, as compared to doing as much as 6 months of people scheduling. We can handle scheduling for both W-2 employees, 1099 employees, and then contractors as well. So we can help you deal with subcontractors, which is really awesome. You can live track when somebody says they've logged in, have the details of where they're going on. Instant invoicing, so you can invoice in the field, as well as you can have jobs being completed. And this is what I usually see, jobs being completed, gets pushed back to the office. Office then doubles checks, make sure that everything's done correctly and all the details are put together, and then it's sent out in the field. And then in-depth reporting, we'll talk more about that later. But again, it's that whole end-to-end to help allow people to run their businesses more successfully and to be, this is an old cliche that I've used for a long time, but it's one I really believe in, is that it can allow or contractors to work on their business instead of just working in their business. I see it so often where people are so busy, and then they don't have time to actually grow their business, or they don't know what kind of money they're making. They don't have the details of what's going on, and they can't keep track of their labor, which is incredibly difficult to do. So we give them the tools to help them do that.
So just to stop you real quick, there was a question. This was on August 22nd. It was in the Low Voltage Nation Facebook group, and somebody was asking about, what software are you guys using? It was a great discussion for you guys. And I think somebody mentioned simPRO maybe a couple times, but also D-Tools. D-Tools seems to be a pretty, can we even talk about competitors? Is this like kind of,
I'm fine, because I'm not going to say anything bad about D-Tools, right? I think it's a really great thing to talk about. And actually I was going to talk about it later. I find that D-Tools in this space has some of the best estimating software that's out there, right? They've got some really they're well established. If you ask me, they're kind of the Cadillac of estimating software. Problem is, your business isn't just about estimating, right?
Right.
We actually, and I'll show it to you here in a minute, we have a tool that we just launched last week. So great thing about being a company that's 20 plus years old, but still on the cutting edge, is we do updates every 2 weeks. So as they say in Australia, we do an update every fortnight, which is in terminology I've used forever. I don't know anybody who uses fortnight, but they do in Australia.
Okay.
And so we do these updates every 2 weeks. We've got incredible funding behind us. So the most recent one is actually being able to import D-Tool quotes. So be able to do your quote within D-Tools and then bring it directly into our system to be able to run your job after that. You can actually, keep an eye on what's going on in the estimates, close those, and then actually do projects off of those as well. So it really gives it a nice tool, particularly when what I find is it works best when customers do the crawl, walk, run. If they've been doing something that's working for them, but they're struggling with the downstream of being able to control their labor and be able to handle projects, is they should keep on using what's working and then implement something that's going to help run the rest of their business. So again, you don't start running a marathon right away. What you start doing is going on a walk, then you start going on a jog, then you start doing a 5K, then you start running a marathon. And what we see is that the first month or two, you're starting to learn the process. You're getting your really, what I see a lot of times, people don't have processes set up. They've been doing it the way they've been doing it for a while, but they don't have anything documented.
Right.
Even companies that are doing, 20, 30 million, 40 million, like they're just kind of running through hard work and hustle, right? Which will get you to a certain point, and then you're going to hit that wall, and that wall becomes really painful for your personal life. It becomes really painful for your business. Sometimes it can lead to nasty things like bankruptcy and things like that, because you just don't know. You don't know until all of a sudden you don't have cash in the bank anymore. So, so what our recommendation is, start using the system. After 1 or 2 months, you add a little bit more, you do a little bit more, you do a little bit more. And then after about a year, you're running like full speed. And then you can start adding different pieces to your software. I've worked a lot with Salesforce in the past, and I think it's a really great product. But if you work with Salesforce and you're one module, and then you want to have another module and another module, like it's very modular in some ways, in a good way, but it can also be very expensive in that way.
Yeah, exactly.
The vast majority of everything I'm going to show you today is within our core functionality. And then we have some things that we can add on. I'll talk more about that later. Sure. So, and what I want to do in the demo, I'll click out of my PowerPoint presentation, is I want to spend time talking about how we work and what it looks like. This isn't going to be a full demo because all of our demonstrations are going to be a half-hour discovery call. What I also find, and it's what I've seen by working with contractors for so long, is that everybody wants to run their business the way they want to run their business and not the way somebody wants them to run their business. So when we do a consultation with somebody, we find out what their workflows are. What are the most important things to them? And then when we do a demonstration, it'll be a second half an hour to 45 minutes of a demonstration that it's focused on their business and what they said is important to them and focused on those. We have so many different options within our system that you're never going to outgrow what simPRO does. Like we just have so many options on what we can do to help you grow your business and continue to drive. But we want to make sure that, again, that crawl, walk, run to be able to get you started and then move you down the path. So while you were talking about that import, so you have the ability of importing a quote. So you just go to here, you go to jobs, do parts import, and you can do that in a couple different ways. It's very straightforward. You just export it out of D-Tools in a CSV, and then you import it in here, and it'll have the details, who the suppliers are. You can put labor directly in there, so you don't have to have different systems. I also see that there's a lot of really great contractors who've created these kind of kick-ass spreadsheets to help them do quotes for their jobs that they've really tailored in and they've got it focused. If that's working for you, particularly on the sales side, don't change what you're doing there. Like let's get the rest of the business in there, but it's a really easy process to be able to just import it directly into here, from a CSV file, and then turn that into a job and then run your business off of that. So if I look at our flow, is very straightforward. So here is our kind of homepage. We focus on people here. So customers, sites, vendors, uh, contacts, employees, and contractors. Contractors being if you're using any subs. We do that all through here. And with customers, you can go in super depth as much as you want. So you can look at sites, you can look at vendors, contacts. But if you look at, let's look at Chase here. So Chase Bank has all the details. So everything that you need out of the CSM, who the contacts are, and put custom information in there. And this is something that I find that people really, really like. Be able to do whatever your one is for custom information. Again, you don't have to do extra programming with this. You can just add these fields to them so to make sure that you keep track of the details of it. You can set up response times to see what they need and what that looks like. You can have tag settings, preferred technicians. You can have all the details here along with history and then attachments. So if you do have a contract with somebody, if you have a set of plans, all of this can be in there and you can access it from the field as well. So you can do everything in our system in terms of attachments, except you can't do videos. So you can link YouTube videos, you can link a couple different ways. Some people will use cloud using something like a SyncEasy. But what we find, most people don't need videos in their attachments. What they need is the documents and have quick and easy access to it. But you can have multiple sites. So if you're dealing with Chase Bank and they've got 20 different sites you're dealing with, you can do that. You can also set up who the billing goes to. So if you're dealing with Chase and it goes to the corporate office, that's great. Or if it goes to local offices, has that capability as well. What I like to think is that we have the ability to be as complex or as simple as you need us to be. But going through that, you go, leads, it all flows very logically. Leads into quotes, into jobs, into schedules, being able to schedule your guys or as individuals or as teams, be able to handle materials. So with catalogs, being able to import catalogs, we're working with some electrical companies to be able to have them preloaded as well, pre-build. So this is whenever you have a system that's built out that you sell regularly, you can create a pre-build with a number of parts, have the regular labor built in there and go through that. Do takeoffs, have inventory. Inventory is a big piece. I've seen, and when I say that, we did a 6-month in-depth analysis when I was working at Train, looked at all the different softwares that are out there. Nobody does inventory as well as we do. So being able to keep track of the inventory, not only at your warehouse, but then in all the different trucks, be able to raise POs against it, set minimums, maximums, makes it very easy. So it's something we're really proud of.
That's a bold statement, and I believe you. But it's a huge problem to solve, inventory. So I'm glad you guys have that module in there.
Yeah, and I'll say that it does take work from the people to make sure they're keeping track of their inventory as well, right? Good news, we have the capabilities of doing it, but it does continue to take work. It's one of those things that's garbage in, garbage out. But I think we have the best system of anything out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a training issue. You really got to sit down and teach the technicians, the administrative staff, and say, look, this is important. This is part of your, take 15 minutes to document and mark stuff complete and this, that, and the other. So it's very important. Some people overlook it, but you'll see that downstream, like how messed up things can get if you don't keep track of it.
Well, if I think about integrators, there's so much stuff that can walk away if you're not watching what's coming in and what's going out. Some very expensive stuff can go in somebody's pocket pretty easily.
Yep.
And then you go to somebody's house after they've been left your company for a couple of years, and you're like, oh, that looks familiar. That looks familiar.
They install a camera in their house, and it's like your camera.
Yeah. I once had somebody tell me, "In God we trust. Everybody else we need data," and I think it's true. Right? It's just everything's you gotta be able to document everything that's going on there. So.
Right.
Again, invoices, being able to go through that process and tasks. I can't tell you how many times with invoices, people that are doing, again, really tech-forward companies that are still using paper invoices, and they'll have their technician have the sign off, and then they'll supposedly take it back, and then it'll be stuck in the back of a van, it'll be in somebody's credenza, like whatever, and somebody leaves, and they'll have thousands upon thousands of dollars of work that they've done that they've never invoiced. I was talking to this pharmaceutical company yesterday, and he said they had almost $500,000 worth of stuff that they had not invoiced because people
Holy
just were not
smokes.
bringing in the paperwork.
Yeah.
It's not all that uncommon. So the one thing I want to talk to you guys about is, I think what really separates us from everybody else is projects. So if you're doing like quick, I need to fix this and replace that, and it's in and out, we've got the capability of doing it. I think we're really damn good at it, but I think there's a lot of people that are pretty decent at it. There's nobody who can do projects like we do. So if I just pull up Chase again, this one's looking at electrical. So the key thing here is being able to keep track of what's going on the job over time, and then being able to do true job costing. We have things, we call them breadcrumbs, be able to see who did the work. This is our demo account. So this is Renata, who's amazing. You guys didn't see her at ICS. You missed out. She's a really great BDM for us, and really understands the industry and can really talk to you about how things go. But you can see all the work that she's done on this opportunity or this job. You can see the breakdown on, like, right when you click into this, you can see the breakdown of where you are in this project. So what's the actual that you've spent so far? What was the estimate? And then what's the revised amount? You can see where you are. Are you good? Are you bad? You can see the totals. You can see the tax. You have the ability of really handling really complex jobs. You go to the info statement, has all the details on the job. You can see what you were quoted. You have the ability of breaking it down by cost center. So what we see a lot of times too is people will have multiple different pieces of their company. And when I say cost center, it can be something like HVAC and electrical, but we see a lot of people who will have rough-in, install, and service as their cost centers, so they can keep track of what's going on. And so often I've heard companies, as they get started, is they look at their service side of the business and they're like, I'm not making any money on service. But then they start digging into it. They're not making any money on service because service is running all the job for the installs that they screwed up, and they have to go back and spend 20 minutes to flip a switch. That's cost them half a day of work, right? So having those broke down really helps things out. This is the thing that I think you guys would be most impressed with, is a project overview, being able to see this in a spreadsheet version of having, what was the original estimate, what's the current budget, what is actuals to date, and then what's forecast remaining, so you can actually see what's going on with your job. You have the ability to look at where you are with materials, you look at where you are with resources, adjustments. I've seen time and time again, the way that companies make or lose money is by keeping track of change orders. So often you bid a job to look like one thing, and then they ask you to do a little bit of a change, and they ask you to do another little bit of change. And then, Blake, is that you telling me that you have a question for me?
There is a question on Facebook. I don't have a question.
No, I'll take it. I'm glad.
Yeah, so I think his name's Louis, or Lewis, maybe. He says, what payment gateways are available to customers in order for them to pay invoices?
Sure. So there's a couple different ways we can pay invoices. We have a integration with Square. That's our primary integrator that we work with. But we also have a lot of people, like, as we work in the commercial space, we see a lot of people still taking checks or getting paid through like bill.com. So you have the ability of accepting payment in a bunch of different ways, but our integration is actually with Square.
What about like authorize.net or Stripe? Any of those? I know
So
those
we
are
do
pretty
have,
popular.
Yeah, those are actually really good platforms. Our integration is with Square, and we continue to look at other options.
Square's a great platform. I love what they're doing, actually. It's pretty interesting.
I know. It's an amazing company.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we continue to look at, make sure that we deliver the best options. Authorize.net, I hear, is really great as well. So it's funny.
Cool.
We get hit up all the time on that question.
That was the only question. I don't have a question. That was the only question.
Okay.
Yep.
But if you're able to look at this, adjustments, again, change orders are what really can win or lose you on a job. If you charge what you should be charging whenever they want something, that can help things out. Otherwise, people end up doing small little jobs here and there, and all of a sudden their hours get extended, their inventory's wiped out, and they don't know what's going on, why they're not making money on that job. You can look at invoices. You can raise orders against a job. So you can actually put quotes out there. So if you're working with a number of different vendors, and you can put quotes out there and have them send them back, you can accept who you want to order off of, be able to push that against directly this job. You can see how many you started off with, how many you've ordered, see if you're running up against it. Again, be able to handle just about any complexity that you have with a job at all. Even, again, dealing with contractors, being able to push jobs out to subs if you need somebody else to do that work. I know a lot of people in the low voltage space are working a lot with larger electricians as well, and they're doing the low voltage side of things. You can take jobs in too from them. They're emailing you in a regular format. You can pull it in this way. You can bill directly out of it. And then, if I look at invoices, being able to do progressive invoices, be able to do it once a month, be able to say we've completed this amount of work and not waiting to the end, being able to deal with retainage. Retainage is a really big deal in the industry as well. If somebody's holding 5-10% to make sure you get the job done. Problem is, a lot of times contractors think the job's done. They don't fall back on that retainage, and that stuff just kind of evaporates. You don't know where it goes. So we have really good complexity to be able to handle all of that. And then the last thing I want to touch base on real quick is reports. I think this is what separates us really from everybody else too. These are the most common reports. We have 76 basic reports that are in here. But these are the ones that people use the very most. And I think this is what really helps people be much more productive. First one, job productivity. Hey, which technicians are working out well for you? Which jobs are working out well? What's going on there? Be able to do that. Job WIP, so work in progress. See where you are, see what you expect it to be, how far you're along. Look at your inventory value. I imagine this is expensive for you guys to make sure you know exactly what you have in. P&Ls, job activity, price discrepancies. So you have the ability of either having a calendar or a quote that comes in the system. And then we have what we like to call data feed or data feed if you're talking to the folks in Australia. That it can actually take those invoices and import them directly into our system. And then you can do this price discrepancy. And if you say you're going to get a TV for $1,000 and all of a sudden it comes in at $1,200, maybe not through anybody's mistake, but not on purpose, but through somebody's mistake, and you have the ability of checking out those discrepancies right there, as well as unassigned inventory. And then aged receivables, the good old aged receivables of people that just aren't paying you. So I like to think about these reports. You can see which jobs are making you money and who's actually paying you to figure out if you should continue to do work with these people or not. So,
do you have any revenue cycle management mechanisms in place where it will send out the invoice or maybe send a text message follow up or an email or this, that, and the other? What kind of process does it have?
Yeah, what's great is everything that we do in our system is done off of triggers. So you can set up reports to do it. We do find that the email, I need to talk about it more because it's a technology that we have that we don't talk about enough, but you can set up invoices to go out automatically. I typically don't love things being done automatically because if they get done automatically, sometimes they automatically get screwed up. But we have the capability of things that happen that way. We usually do it through reminders. So if you're on the main page, you set up reminders and alerts in the system of invoices and inventory of things that you need to do. But you can set it up if something hasn't been paid within 15, 30 days, be able to set up either emails or text messages out or SMS messages out to the customers to remind them to make that happen. Cool. What I find is a lot of times people will ask for a ton of automation to start off with. But again, that crawl, walk, run, let's start off getting your business. It's like when people worry about competitors, if you can just fix the problems that within your own walls, you're in a much better shape than anything else. That there's so many other problems that you need to fix before you start worried about automation. Let's just get your core business up and running. A belief that I have is repeatable processes deliver repeatable results. So you have to put those processes in place. And again, I think there's some really great companies that are working really, really hard. But without those processes in place and a system to help them run their business, the profits just aren't going to be there.
Right. Could you are you done with this particular slide, the whole overview of it?
Yeah, I'm open for whatever. I wanted
to kind of dive into the field technician side of it. Is there any way to see what they would see on a mobile app or anything?
Yeah, sure. Here, I put it in here because it's easier to share this way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm always going to go back to the technician.
I know, I appreciate you.
I want them to be good.
Hey, if anybody has any questions, I want to talk to you guys. Just make sure you guys have my contact, ben.hedenberg@simpro.us. You can find us there, simprogroup.com. I'm also available on LinkedIn. There is a crazy Ben Hedenberg, like an evil Ben Hedenberg that's on Twitter that's posting all kinds of crazy stuff. So don't listen to that Ben Hedenberg. That's not me.
That's not you.
It's not me. He is my Swedish cousin, I believe, who who sent a bread maker into outer space on this International Space Station, and then he's kind of gone off the deep end. Besides that, hey, this is one. I know this is a stupid old cartoon, but this is one that I actually like. This is us trying to help contractors. They'll say, no, thanks, we're too busy.
We're too busy, yeah.
And they're just dragging this heavy weight along, man. It's an old school cartoon.
Yeah.
This is very consistent. Sometimes I get asked who our biggest competition is. And our biggest competition is contractors being stuck in their ways in their old spreadsheets. Yeah. That's our biggest competition. For what we do, there's nobody else who does what we do.
Right. It reminds me of electronic health records, because that's what I used to implement. I used to travel the country, and I used to go to these agencies that had these archaic systems, spreadsheets, paperwork, and they had a lot of people on staff, like 10 people on staff just to process paperwork. And then we would go in and we would do a workflow analysis on their company, and from A to Z figure out how to not automate the process, but have it so it supplements and augments their business to be more efficient. And then most importantly, we solve the mission critical items. That's like you say, like the core business function. Like, let's get those under control and be successful with that. Then look at all the whiz bang business, tools and whatever else. Yeah. But then we would focus heavily on the revenue side. Can we get bills out the door and get paid and get it reconciled in the system? Like, that's the biggest piece. Like the CEO and especially the CFO would love that conversation that I would have with them. But this is what it kind of reminds me of. Like, let's figure out from A to Z how to do the business and be successful. Like, when you go live, like you can bill when you go live and get paid on your normal schedule.
What we find is that people, particularly when we're doing discussions with them, they'll say, I want to do these 10 things. And these 10 things seem awesome, right? And sometimes they'll see something cool feature that somebody might have. And they're like, oh, that looks really awesome. But then you find out that they have so much in the account receivable, they're not sending out invoices, that bills aren't being paid, like all these really core functionality. And we tell people, like, let's focus on 3 things in the first month or 2. Let's not
mission
try to
critical. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love it.
And then people will say, like, do you have route optimization? Which route optimization is cool sounding, but I don't see that people actually use it in real life. So
there was a question from Caleb Smith. I'm not sure if you can see it, but he asked, will the demo be available to view after? Yes, it will be.
So I would say this is not a demo, right? If you guys want to see this, you guys absolutely can watch this. There's much people better in my organization who will do a demonstration that's very focused on your business needs. This is not intended to be a demo. This is just like a little taste of what we can do. This is, I'm probably handling like 7% of what we're doing. And I'm probably not doing it all that well either, but this is just like a little taste of what we do.
Yeah. I know Caleb too. He's up north, and he does some really good structured cabling work. I've seen his stuff. Awesome. He's been in the community for a while, so yeah. So Caleb, reach out to Ben or myself if you want to get like the real demo.
Right. Okay. Well, when you say up north, you mean Canada or you mean someplace else?
I mean, I think he's in like New York City.
Oh, good. Yeah. So we've got people up there as well.
Yeah,
because we actually do very well in Canada. They're great people in Canada.
I'm Canadian. I got to get my passport renewed here. So.
Oh, I forgot you're Canadian.
Or my green card. Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole other story. All right. But okay, so Ben, back to the did we do like the demo? The demo for the service field service people.
All right.
Did you have a slide?
What we focused on, and because we know what technicians need in the field, whether they're doing plumbing or they're doing HVAC or if they're doing low voltage wiring, whatever it is, what they're really good at is what's in front of them. And a lot of times it's not documentation of everything that they're doing. What they want is ability to know what they need to do, the details, a simple way of doing it, and a simple way to wrap it up. They're not great at paperwork. This is no matter what industry I've worked in, 20 plus years of working in these industries, is consistently what we see. So we put our focus, the complexity in the office, and then the simplicity in the field is really what we focus on. So this is just screenshots iPhone. Also, I like that we can work off iPhones or Android. Either way, it doesn't matter for us, whether it be in the office or in the field. You don't have to have an iPad. Some people do, some people don't. But this is what, when you log into your simPRO from the field on the server side, first thing you do is clock on. You can see what's scheduled for your day ahead of you. And so that's what's been put in place. You have all the details. You can go to quotes, timesheets, sales and service, have all the details right there. Good news is, whenever you're running this, if you have internet connection, that's great. But if you don't have internet connection, that's okay as well, because you can do almost everything except for the final billing without service as well. So if you're in a crawl space or if you're in some place odd that you don't have access, the system still works very well.
It works very well, meaning what? You can view the work order, and can you do any documentation?
Yes.
Pictures and text? You can do everything. So it just kind of does it locally and does like an offline sync, I guess.
Yep.
Okay.
Just whenever you get it. And so again, we're dealing with Australia, we're dealing with the UK. So you think about like your Ayers Rocks and you're doing work, they have the ability of pushing that information up there. I think, and somebody will call me wrong on this, but I think we're the only international field service management system that's out there. Like we can handle just about everything. I just got a text the other day from somebody who's in Antarctica who's using our system to do some sort of tenting system. So we have customers around the world, and you can handle it no matter what. So for this job, I'll just pull up a res plumbing job. Shows where the locations, where they're supposed to go. They hit the start travel button. That means it does a clip of where they start. They then get access to the job card. Whenever they arrive, they're going to hit it and say start work. So you can see it's going to take a snapshot of where they started their clocked in, and then where they started their travel, as well as pinning where they start their work. And so you can really make sure that somebody's there. We're not Big Brother watching it all the time, but we're watching to make sure things are done. You have access to the job card. You have an overview of the work history for the site. You have everything available for you right then and there. And so often you hear cases where somebody shows up, they fix something that somebody broke the last time, and they have no idea what's going on. So this keeps your technician or your engineer, depending on who you're talking to, informed on what's going on the job. You can see who the contacts are. You can either call them or email them directly. We have pre-audits. So pre-audits are either safety or it's work that you want people to go through every single time. So you can set it up that they have to go through the process, and you could do it for an individual or you can do it for a team. You have the ability to see the notes. You have the ability to see the attachments, all of them right then and there. And then you can go to the scope of work. You see what you're supposed to be doing. So again, it's not a billion bells and whistles, but it gives you exactly what you need to be able to get the job done and have all your information right there. It looks like there's some questions that are coming in possibly.
Yeah. This is from James.
Hi, James.
You read it?
No.
Can you read, or do you want me to read it too?
Yeah, no, I got it. Hold on. How does the system handle single clients with multiple sites? Oh, yeah. So if you didn't see that earlier, so under the customer, we have sites. So again, I think I used the example of Chase Bank, but if they have 20 different locations, you have access to all those different locations and see what's going on there. We have parent-child relationships. We have, the good news is I haven't been stumped too much when I'm doing a demonstration for somebody of something that we can't handle. There's a ton of different ways. Again, being in the business 20 years, working through this, coming from the trades, having 7,000 plus contractors with almost 250,000 users on here every day, we have the ability of really handling lots of complexities. I hope I answered that question for you, James, okay?
Made sense to me.
Perfect. All right. They have access to the inventory. So if you need to add something to a job, let's say you've set it up and you think it's going to be XYZ, but then you need more pieces, you can pull that inventory directly out of your stock. Or if you need to get it from a catalog and raise a PO against it, you have the capability of doing that in the field. Again, we set up security, or you will set up security based on what you want people to be able to do in the field. So if you want them to be able to issue a PO right there, if you want them to do one-off items, because what we find is that Most contractors will use like between 600 and 800 different parts and pieces throughout the year. But if you get a catalog from a supplier, a lot of times it'll be like 10,000 pieces, and you don't want to have all of that in there because it slows things down. So you can do one off. If you're running to Lowe's or someplace like that and you need to buy something right away, you can do those one off, issue a PO right then and there, be able to keep track of it. So it's pushing back to the job and you know exactly what's being used for what. You don't just get these random bills out of nowhere. Again, you can see all the different trucks. You can choose to only allow them to see one truck. You can see all the trucks. A really standard problem I see is that people are constantly buying inventory, and it's inventory that's already sitting on a shelf in somebody else's truck or that's sitting back in the warehouse. So you can check and make sure that part and piece isn't available someplace else. We have the ability. One of the things that we really do well is assets. So we have the ability to have assets and sub-assets and be able to do testing on all of them. I imagine this is big for you guys. If you're going into a data center and you're running it, you need to check, make sure that it's working. You're doing preventative maintenance on it, keep track of everything that's happening. And oftentimes it's done on this is what I've seen happens a lot in the field, is people will have a form that they made off of an Excel spreadsheet, and they fill it out, and then the guy takes it back to their truck, and it gets coffee spilled on it and some donuts, like jelly on it from a donut, and they keep track of it, or they bring it back to the office and it gets filed in the wrong place. This gives you the ability to have all of it right then and there. And for warranty purposes, which I imagine is really important for you guys, you have access to be able to see when that was tested, what was going on, did it pass, did it fail, you can show any pictures of anything that's going on. Looks like a couple more chats are coming in.
This was from the Facebook group. It's kind of a testimonial, but also I think there's a question inside that. So if you want to read that, that'd be helpful.
Is this from Michael Fletcher? Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah. Do you know Michael Fletcher? He's a customer.
I unfortunately don't know Michael Fletcher, but I'm thrilled. We are currently a current simPRO customer, and we're overall very happy with that. On the import part, you showed to a job. Is the same possible to import a quote? Yeah, actually, Michael, as with any demonstration, whenever you're showing something, I meant to show it for the quote as well. We do have that ability for the quote. It's just anytime you're doing a demo, something's not going to work out right. But yes, we have that for that as well. Parts import, be able to import the whole thing. Yes.
Cool.
No, that just came out. If you need support with that, Michael, please hit up our support team, and they'll help you get set up on that. It is something that just went live last week, so it's a really nice tool for us and should be a good tool for you. One nice thing about our company that I didn't touch on is that we are, because we're a global company, we have support 24/6. So there's a time on Sunday, Monday, or Saturday, Sunday where somebody in Australia is not going to be able to help. There's going to be some weird things that happen, but we're almost available 24 hours a day to be able to support things that are going on. Other good news is that our uptime, which is really important, is like at 99.97, some crazy high number in terms of our system just doesn't crash, so you can actually run your business. But again, testing the assets, have it all available. We have e-forms that you can use. We have all the details, be able to see what's going on. We have a barcode scanner to be able to read barcodes in the field, be able to go through that process. You can see if it's, again, on the asset where it is.
Wait, so barcodes, is that like internal inventory stuff, or what does that do exactly?
Yeah, so a couple things that we can do for barcoding. We can create barcodes, so you can barcode things in the field. We also have the ability of reading barcodes. So what I find is that most service technicians suck at they fat finger things in there all the time. It's just details maybe aren't their strongest suit. So you have the ability of reading a barcode off of a HVAC unit or whatever, be able to do that. Gotcha. Sometimes I get asked, hey, if that means we're getting inventory in, can we read the inventory? It's not really the functionality of it. It's probably something we'll do in the future, but it's not something we have right now.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Again, simplicity, does it pass, does it fail, what are the details of it? And then when you wrap things up, you say, hey, everything's done. You can get the technician sign off and the customer sign up off, have it right then and there, just hand the phone over, and make sure that it gets done. We actually had a customer that got taken to court saying that something wasn't done. They showed the simPRO logs of the history of the sign off, and it got thrown out within 2 minutes, as
Bam.
compared to having to go through all your files
Love it.
and try to find all the back details. And then when you're done, you have the ability of choosing, hey, is it awaiting customer, awaiting parts? Is it completed? I'm on lunch break, whatever the next steps are. So has all that capability. Again, it's not it's not about bells and whistles. I think it's about simplicity and being able to actually do the work. And that's what we really deliver in the field service side of things.
Good. Cool.
Cool. Go on to the next job. So I'm going to stop sharing right now. Any other questions? I think we're up against time. I wanted to be cautious.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we got a few more minutes for questions. I don't see any in the Facebook group, nor do I see any in Zoom, but feel free to drop them in there.
I think it's because I've just done such an incredible job. Like, I think
It was
I think their minds are so blown right now. What's going on?
That's exactly what it was. It's important, me coming from like all sides of the business in low voltage surveillance and access control. Like this is like, there's always disparate systems that you deal with, and it becomes an inefficient mess. So the reason why we're having this conversation is because like I've felt that pain before, and I wanted to offer some people some good advice on what to do to solve that problem. And here we are. So I think it's great.
And that's why I'm in this business, because I've seen contractors who have just gone through the pain of having to work with so many different systems and having to track down materials, track down their technicians and see what's going on. And it's stressful. It's hard. So I want to be able to give you guys the tools to be successful and to move forward. I did want to drop a note that we are going to be at CEDIA. If anybody's going to be there next week in Indianapolis, we'll be there. We've got a booth. And I think it'll be great to talk face to face. We are, like I said, we've been around 20 years, started by an electrician, really grew that way. So face-to-face interaction, maybe with a mask on or not a mask on, is really important to us. We're going to try to do any meetings we can face-to-face and implementations face-to-face. We're a SaaS company, but we're not like the typical SaaS company. I mean, we're very focused on interactions and helping people be successful in their business.
What's the typical implementation time? How long does it take?
Sure. So typically our implementation, I personally like 5 days face-to-face. What we find is that, so we'll do project kickoff, which is a half day, system setup, so just really getting things lined up with the systems. And then it'll be 2 days training, about a month where you get used to using it, and then an additional 2 days training. And to get people live, it's usually somewhere between, really with some integrators, I'm seeing it as quickly as 30 days, but it's usually in that 60-day range to go live, and then really full bore head up and running 90 to 120 days where it's running smoothly.
That seems pretty reasonable. I'm used to these 6-month implementations and then 1 year to be truly thriving with a complex system like this. Yeah. So, but you can always compress that timeline into something that meets the customer's needs. If you're just focusing on those mission critical items, like that's my best advice, is like focus on what's going to get you successful, go live and get paid as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Keep track of your employees, keep track of invoices, what's going on with those. If you can do those things, you're in a lot better shape. Yeah. I probably should have shown it earlier. We've got some really amazing quotes that you can send out to people too. You can do a lot of customization to make it look awesome as well.
Yeah. So, like when you showed me that demo of like the proposals, like that's a big deal, because there are some guys in low voltage nation, Mason Bortz especially. He does a really good job of sending out quotes and proposals and all that. And what you showed me actually looks really good. Yeah. I was quite impressed.
Yeah. And what I'd say is that I think we give the technology to integrators to act like a really big company, even if you're 5 people.
Yeah. You got the logo and then like the nice design and the PDF and the printed out document looking all professional and stuff with all like the map of all the cameras and everything. Yeah, it looks,
So you can be a professional company that just doesn't have this huge overhead, but you can grow into being an even bigger company. It's like that whole idea of fake it until you make it. And you can show yourself professional. So I've seen a lot of small companies, when they put processes in place, can be incredibly successful. And oh, did I lose Blake?
No, I'm still here. My camera just kind of like lost connection, so I'm still here. But we're gonna wrap it up anyway. So, but what were you saying, Ben? Just kind of closing
Oh, no,
remarks.
no, no. No, that you have the ability, you have the systems in place, and you have a good software that they can help you run your company. You can be very successful as a smaller company until you continue to grow. And I've seen some other people that are, 6 or 7 man shops that are just making so much money, and they're incredibly profitable because they put the processes in place. Sometimes bigger isn't better, but profits are always good.
Yeah. Okay. There was a quick question on Facebook group. He says, "Did you mention plans to support U.S. suppliers for automatic supplier import?" Do you know what that
Yes.
means?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we're actually in
Okay.
the midst of negotiation. So again, being started in Australia, we've got a little bit more of a foothold over there. We've got integrations that are set up with Graybar and a couple other people. And here in the States, we've been around for 4 or 5 years. So we're still working on that. I'm talking to a couple people on the West Coast. And then we continue to talk to Sonopar, Graybar, all the different people to be able to import that directly in. The good news, if somebody's using D-Tools and they have some integrations that are already in place, you have the
Yeah.
ability to import those prices directly out of there as well if you want to
Sure.
continue to use that. But it's something that we're working on. My previous job was really focused on partnerships, and it's one that I really focus on as well. I know what it's like from both sides.
Yeah.
So integrating is a really important piece of what we're doing. And we'll have more set up within 6 months, and then more in a year and a half, and more in forever. This isn't the last you're going to hear of simPRO for sure. We're on the hockey stick up. We'll have 10,000 followers, just like Voltage Nation, Low Voltage Nation. I don't know.
We got 30,000 followers on Instagram.
You and the Kardashians, right?
Yeah, right. Good question. Thank you, Michael. Hope that answers it. Any closing remarks or any other things you want to mention or plug?
No, I really appreciate the time today.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
focused
good.
on, obviously simPRO being successful, but my real focus is on contractors being successful. So if you guys have any questions or anything, you can find me on, like I said, LinkedIn, probably the best place to find me,
Yeah.
or Facebook. I'm on there as well. Ask me any questions. We're about making contractors successful. So really appreciate the time today, Blake. I'd like to buy you a new camera that actually works.
Oh, come on, man. It's the Wi-Fi,
I know,
not the
sure.
camera.
No, I really appreciate it, though.
Yeah,
Thanks for
man.
the time today.
Absolutely. All right, Ben. Talk to you soon, man. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
See ya.
Bye.